Welcome to this episode of Combat and Conversation. I am the host, Nikita Kronis. I'm here today with the wonderful Piero Sgarioto, Baba Yaga, as they call him, the boogeyman. He is a Victorian and Australian Masters champion, a fantastic boxer, a fantastic man, huge life experience. We're very lucky to have him involved not only at Fight Fit, but also today on this podcast. So we hope you enjoy the episode. And thank you for tuning in.
I love the sport for the respect that you have for opponents and stuff like that. And even if you lose, there's a respect level. You know, whether I'm standing in the ring or I'm on the production line at work.
Yeah,
you know, I'm forever learning.
All right, Piero, let's take me back to your childhood growing up. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in North Dandenong.
North Dandenong.
I'm a dandy boy.
Fantastic. And how was that? How was that experience growing up there?
It was great. I had a great upbringing, beautiful parents. Yeah, like I had a lot of friends. I grew up, went to Green Slopes Primary School.
Green Slopes?
Green Slopes Primary School.
I've never heard of that in my life.
Then followed by Nazareth College. You know, Green Slopes was a public school.
Okay.
A lot of, it was like, I think 95% of the people there probably convicts now. Who knows?
Oh, shit. Yeah, right.
It was a bit of a rough school, but it was great. It was a great upbringing. I made a lot of friends there. And then from there I went to Nazareth College.
Nazareth. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
A good little Catholic school. Only three people from my primary school went to a Catholic college. So
Oh, wow. The rest?
if that says anything. The rest of them probably went to juvenile delinquent school or something. You know?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But again, a lot of good people come out of that.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
I don't judge anybody.
Yes, that's of course, as we all shouldn't. And your parents, your dad, I believe, is Italian. Your mum, Aussie.
Dad's Sicilian born from Ragusa, back in Sicily.
Ragusa.
Very, very south of Sicily. Beautiful place. It's I fell in love with it when I went there I went there when I was 4 years old. We stayed there for a year. We almost stayed there, but Mum got homesick, so we come back. But then when I finished my chefing apprenticeship and become a qualified chef, I went and worked in Sicily for 6 months in '98, and I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I went back again for 3 months in '99 and 2 months in 2000, and then I took my wife girlfriend.
Yes.
In 2002, we stayed for a month, but yeah, I got the bug and my heart's
Still there.
Still there.
There's something about going back to where you originate from, where you come from, at least on either if it's one side.
I just love the stories and the heritage.
Yeah.
Walking down the street, people would pull me up and say, "Oh, you're Sam's son." You know, like
a good feeling.
The community just knows. And you know, they don't see a blonde, white-looking Aussie.
Yeah.
Very often in Sicily, the island in the sun, everyone's
tan.
Tan skin.
Yeah.
5 foot nothing, because they're all super short over there.
Yeah.
So it was common knowledge that we were foreigners and they knew who we were because everyone talks.
Everyone talks. Yeah, it's such a small, tight-knit community.
Yeah,
I've felt the same going back to Greece, and my girlfriend from Italy as well. She feels the same way.
Yeah.
What was your when did you start getting into or dip your toe into any type of athletic activity? Well, how old were you?
Well, mate, growing up, I love sport.
Okay.
I've always been competitive. You know, I'll chase you to the opposite side of the road if I have to. So,
okay.
But I grew up playing football and cricket my whole life, from as early as I could remember. You know, we had a billiard table and a table tennis table in the garage, and we used to play till all hours of the night.
Yeah.
But then we used to, down the end of our street was the main park, so that's where I grew up playing football at North Dandenong Football Club, and cricket there to the age of 16 before I decided to become a chef. And everything went out the window because weekends disappeared.
Disappeared completely, yeah.
But at that stage, I trained with the Victorian team when I was 16.
For footy or
cricket?
For cricket, yep.
You know, again, even though I was still an overweight kid, I was very competitive and enjoyed my sport. Had plenty of stamina. And I suppose that's what drove me, the adrenaline playing, and you know, the same butterflies I get before walking into the ring boxing, I used to get on a Saturday morning before cricket.
Yeah, and the same intensity.
The same intensity.
That's funny. I've heard some people say that that nervousness never died,
No,
even from when they were young.
I think it's just the competitive edge of wanting to win.
Yeah, right.
And just the thought process of, trying to preempt what's going to happen.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what creates, I suppose, you could call it fear.
Partly,
fear of losing. Boxing, my fear of getting hit in the head or whatever, but it's more about fear of losing.
Yeah.
And what's your perception of losing?
Yes, exactly right.
You know what I mean?
It's a big deal.
It's
some people can be absolutely done in by by any type of loss.
I mean, at a young age, I used to hate losing.
Yeah.
Especially now with boxing, I mean, I appreciate and I love the sport for the respect that you have from opponents and stuff like that. And even if you lose, there's a respect level.
Yeah.
It all depends on how cocky your opponent is at the same time.
Exactly.
But, when someone goes out side of the ring when you've lost and gives you a hug and, better luck next time, you've got to respect that.
Of course, you've got to expect the fact that you both went to war.
Yeah.
Essentially. You're
very
vulnerable.
And there's an element of maturity that you need to have in order for that to happen as well. And you're seeing some good coaches that instill that in young fighters these days.
Yeah.
And then there's the opposite. They've got cocky coaches and it feeds into their students as well.
Well, yeah, and it depends on, I guess, in large part, sort of the community that you brought up in as well. Like if you have a bunch of good coaches around you or good men around you, right, in terms of male fighters, but for the most part, you end up taking on the principles that they espouse or what they represent.
Yeah.
At Fight Fit, it's the same thing. Like it's
Mate,
the
Fight Fit, again, I've been blessed training at Fight Fit.
Yeah.
2020 was when I first started training at Fight Fit. I saw an ad come up on Instagram or something like that, but I already knew or had heard of Nick and also met him.
Nick Cara?
Yeah, Nick Cara, when I was training at Adrenaline, MMA.
Yes.
I went through a little stint of MMA.
Okay.
And he came when I think Judd Reed did a launch for his book about the 100-man kumite.
Okay. Yeah.
And I only met him briefly. He'd come back from Thailand not long before then. And but then when he opened up the gym, I thought that's perfect because I'd had a bit of time out from MMA. Did some CrossFit, which was a bit of a change.
Yeah. Bit of a change of pace.
But it was good.
Yeah.
It's
got its benefits.
It's funny, one of those bodies where, I lift weights and I start to bulk.
Right, straight away?
Really quickly.
Yeah, some people do that.
But again, in saying that, I'm not calling myself an athlete or like that, but I've always been a yo-yo sort of weight person. My weight goes up and down.
Oh, okay.
Like there's no tomorrow. And I partially use this sport to stay in shape.
Right.
And I set myself challenges by having fights in order to get to weight and feel good because even knowing I was overweight as a kid, that those insecurities stay with you somewhat for your whole life.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that also, even with the profession that you were in for so long, the chefing world as well, the kitchen world, it's not usually the best standard of health amongst kitchens. Yeah. When you're eating everything, you're smoking,
you're eating, drinking. Yeah, smoking, drinking.
Yeah.
Went through a drug phase even.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, I didn't want to be the next statistic.
Right.
So I got out of the industry because I saw too many broken marriages or drug addicts and whatnot. As much as I had my fun, I always had. I think that's the difference between having a loving upbringing. I always had my parents in the back of my head.
That's right. Yeah.
Whether I was out drinking or, yes, I went through a phase of taking drugs and I never got to the point where I was out of control and didn't know where I was.
Yeah. You were always able to keep it in.
I was always limited to the point where I was in control somewhat.
Yeah, of course.
But enjoying myself knowing that, I'm going home to a loving family.
It makes such a difference. I mean, it's across all walks of life.
Yeah.
It depends on what's happening in the home. Obviously, that's the biggest, one of the major contributors as to, the quality of life the child lives. Okay, so you were in the chefing world. As you said, it was a bit of a wild time. Later on, obviously, you met the Fight Fit guys. What was the transition like in the interim from the chefing world to some combat sports, I guess?
Well, look, I mean, I started combat sports when I was chefing at, I was head chef at the Mentone Hotel, and then I moved on to the Balmoral Pavilion, which was just down the road. And I had an apprentice there, Elliot, his name was. Great bloke.
Legend.
Legend bloke. And he was doing amateur boxing.
Right.
And he was training at Underworld in the city, which is now...
Oh, it is.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is in Flinders, yeah.
Where all the hardcore fighters used to train. I mean, we used to go there at midnight after work and just bang on. I'd never put on a set of gloves before, but... I'll have a crack at anything. And again, the competitive edge came out. And you throw a punch, I'll throw. I know I'm supposed to hit you in the head.
Yeah.
Preferably around the nose region.
Well, that's what I remember when you told me that. So, are you saying you just turned up with the guys, you put on gloves, and you just went for it?
Pretty much.
No technique, just like
pretty much.
just smash.
I mean, he taught me basically. I went and got one of those cheap shit mouth guards from the pharmacy that you put in hot water and mold to your mouth. And,
oh shit!
And I've seen guys training at the gym with them now, and forever falling out of their mouth, and you got very poor breathing techniques. So I was gassing out within minutes, but still trying to throw hands and
far out. Yeah.
So we take it in turns as to who went to work with a black eye the next day, but we had fun, and it broke up the monotony of life.
Right.
Work home. We're doing double shifts back then.
How often did you do it? How often did you go into Underworld?
Couple of nights a week, 2-3 nights a week.
You just bash each other and then come to work with a black eye. That's fantastic.
And when we could, it was good fun.
Yeah, that's great.
And it was a good little. He was a heavy hitter. He was a bit lighter than me, but he obviously had better technique.
Yes. Yeah.
Someone that even 20 kilos lighter can probably hit heavier. I mean, young Sammy Howe down at Fight Fit Moorabbin. I think he weighs in about 73, but he's hitting like a bloody 90-kilo guy at the moment. It's quality. I enjoy that.
That's good. That's good. So you dipped your toe in there. You just had a bit of fun, and then you were like, "Oh shit, I actually enjoy this."
I do. Yeah. Enjoyed it, and but I didn't take it up seriously until probably 2020. I always had that sort of base in the background. But I think it was about 35, and I took up MMA.
Okay. What type of MMA? Was it just everything?
Just a bit of everything.
Okay,
under Chris Brown at Extreme Extreme Martial Arts in Chadstone. And then he branched out and set up Adrenaline MMA in, I think it's in Moorabbin now, near Moorabbin Airport, but it used to be on Nepean Highway.
Okay.
And I did that. I had a couple of amateur fights, MMA as well.
Yeah.
One win, one loss. Again, always set myself targets, or challenges, whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
Even work. At the start of this year, I said I want to double revenue by the end of the year, and lo and behold, we picked up a couple of new contracts, which should allow us to do that.
Oh, beautiful. Fantastic.
By the end of the year.
Yeah.
So,
you're a very goals-oriented person. You like to set challenges for yourself.
But sometimes I bite more than I can chew too.
Right. Don't you have to some degree as well, particularly in business or in fights?
But they say be careful what you wish for sometimes.
Of course.
It's just, again, I understand what I'm capable of.
Yes.
But it's what the people around you are capable of as well.
Of course. Yeah. You got to have that team. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Even with your competition as well, it depends on what they're up to.
Exactly right. And it's like, I get in the ring. It's like at work, whether I'm getting in the ring or I'm at work, I've got to have a good team around me.
Yeah.
I was blessed when we went to Germany last year with Kara, Faisal Fayed and Johnny Christopoulos. Mate, look at three of the best in my corner. Yeah. And the only missing link was the win.
Yeah, okay.
But apart from that, everything else was perfect.
Yeah, well, actually, now that we're on that, let's talk about sort of the succession of fights that you had from the beginning. So when was, outside of MMA, once you had, as you said, one win, one loss, when was your first boxing fight, your proper first boxing fight?
So Fight Fit Challenge.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What year was that?
The best that was, they're pushing you, like 2021.
Okay.
I think it was.
Right.
22.
Yep.
Went through a fight camp. I did that. Yeah, it came up at the gym and I thought, why not? I've always wanted to, again, the competitive side.
Yeah.
And a great excuse to get fit. 8-week challenge. In the past, I'd done challenges left, right, and centre. I always put my hand up for this, that, and the other. And this was a great opportunity to, cut weight,
give it a go,
jump in the ring, and bang on.
Who was your trainer?
Well, Kara was a trainer during that process. Yeah. But then was Paul Feifeld.
Yes.
absolute machine. You know, and everyone says the same thing about him. He's just a scary individual. Even what is he now? 65?
Yeah, something like that.
Mate, he's just a freak.
Yeah.
300 burpees, and he'll count everyone out with you.
Wow.
And
yeah.
You know,
insane level
we're
of
dying
fitness
on the floor, and he's ready to do another couple of hundred.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
So yeah, that 8-week challenge. Funny enough, I got to weigh in. We did the weigh in, and the guy cracked the shits because he wanted to be early on in the evening, and we were told we were like semi-main event or something. I think fight number 15.
Yeah.
And he called Bash that night and cancelled it. I basically said, Bash, give me his number.
Yeah.
I rang him up and I pleaded with him. I said, come on, mate. I said, I'm not Bash. I said, I've done the hard work just like you. Let's just get it done. And Bash Bash was nice enough to put us on early in the card, but he's still like, oh, nah, fuck, I don't want, you know, fuck Bash, fuck this, fuck that, right, whatever.
Yeah, right.
No problem. But anyway, I talked him into it, and I got the win, and happy days.
Yeah.
And then I did another one, I think the year after.
The same challenge?
Same challenge.
Yeah.
And off the back of that was a great fight camp again, and it was difficult for them to match me up.
Right.
I ended up being the main event, and we ended up getting a young guy. Yeah, and he was a young amateur boxer, and we went 3 rounds toe to toe. It was a good solid. Unfortunately, the third round, I think it was the third round, he got me with a straight right hand. It caught me with an open guard, and my knee touched the canvas.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I was home and hosed because the first 2 rounds I was sharp, technical. But ended up being a split decision draw.
Okay, wow.
It wasn't a loss.
It's rare.
But it wasn't a win.
Yeah, exactly. So that itched you.
I love to win. It itched me. And so I put my hand up for the possibility. I noticed Masters Boxing Victoria came up on my feed as well, and people were talking about a couple of guys, Sean Slattery and Jason down at Moorabbin, done a bit of Masters Boxing. So I said, sign me up. Let's have a look. So my first fight there, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I lost on points. I probably just gassed out again in the limelight. Different environment.
Yep.
But still, you know, went in there wanting to bang on. He'd obviously had a few more fights and was more calm and reserved.
Right.
I just gassed out a bit and probably looked a bit sloppy.
A little bit more green.
Bit green.
Yeah.
But that was like an interim fight to fight for the Vic title. He won, but then he hurt his calf in training for the Vic title. And then they put up a post saying, you know, opponent needed for Vic title. So I said, all right, I'll take on the Vic title.
That's great.
Fine.
Yeah.
And I ended up winning the Vic title. Well, that was a late ring in. That was a tough fight. Went 4 rounds. In the 4th round, I stopped it eventually because, I landed a great left hook on my opponent. And then just went to town, and his corner nearly threw in the towel, but the ref stopped it just the same.
Just the same. So you're telling me that you did the 2 fight fit challenges, you moved on to Masters Boxing. At the same time, were you working?
Yes.
And was your family like, and also yourself like, I mean, this has come seemingly not out of nowhere, as you said, you've always been a competitive person, but it's kind of like you went into all of a sudden a quasi-professional setting of boxing where you're like competing for titles and winning titles.
It's like you ask my wife and she'll think that I basically switched off, and
this is the deviation
from the family, little deviation. But I think I started 15 years too late.
Right. Okay.
So I'm basically living what I should have done many years ago.
Well, that's a good question. What do you think the difference would have been if you did start 15 years ago? Where do you think you would be now? If I can ask that question.
I don't want to predict anything. I'm just comfortable in the situation I am now.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm grateful that the opportunity has arisen now rather than never.
Never. Exactly right. Now or never.
I'm not pondering like what could have been, because I think that'll just be bullshit.
Yeah, of course. It's hypothetical.
But I'm really happy. The last 5 years have been very positive.
Yeah.
but not only training, just the positive mindset. 3 months after 3 months after starting at Fight Fit Moorabbin, my father passed away in August 2020. And like obviously mindset is everything, and it just helped me to not switch off from the fact that it happened, but just clear my mind a bit. So when I'm punching the bag or trying not to get hit in the face, I'm not thinking about my dad or thinking about work or thinking about...
It was an escape.
It was a great escape.
Yeah.
It just allowed me to clear my head and, be around a different sort of community, different faces.
Yeah.
And from that, I built some great relationships, great friendships out of the gym.
Yeah.
And I like to think, I'm 47 and I'm one of the older guys at the gym, and I used to love being that younger guy looking up to the older guys. So I actually enjoy the role reversal.
Yeah, right. It's a different frame.
I like to build people up, and I analyze a lot more. Obviously in business, I analyze my staff, I analyze opportunities. Same thing when I go to the gym, I'm analyzing the other members of the gym, and if they look down, and like I would hope they do to me. If I look down, how you going? How you feeling?
Yeah,
everything all right? All good.
It means the world.
It does
to just check in.
100%.
It's such a big, especially I've noticed. I mean, it's a little bit of a cliche with fighters and fight gyms, but obviously everyone out there is trying their best. They're working hard. They're trying to develop, I guess, a fighter's mentality. But that doesn't mean that people are not going through whatever they're going through.
But we've all got.
There's something inside.
We've all got a story.
Yeah,
exactly.
Story to
tell.
That's it.
Who we choose to expose that to, all depends on who we want to let into our circle and whatnot. But there's a great circle at Moorabbin, and even within the whole Fight Fit community.
Yeah.
There's a great respect amongst the three gyms. So when you do happen to bump into someone, or you see someone from an Instagram post or whatever, it's easy to just approach them and say, "Oh, I know you from such and such." And it just creates a different bond again.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that's the beautiful thing about Fight Fit.
Yeah, well, it's developing a community, as you said, and having lifelong friends there. All right, now take me back to sort of the Masters approach. So
I won the Vic title.
You won the Vic title, and then from there,
what's next? Australian title.
Australian title. Just moving from the state to the national.
So Masters leagues. Boxing Victoria with Wayne Gardner. An opportunity came up for Australian title against a gentleman by the name of Andrew King out of WA.
Yep.
And that fight got stopped at the end of the second round. Was meant to be a 4-rounder again, but. I was just probably landing a couple of heavy punches on him, and the ref decided that was enough, and he was a bit gassed out from the pressure I put on.
Okay. Are you an aggressive fighter? Are you a forward-moving fighter?
Yeah, I am. I'm very sort of. I like to consider myself sort of Tyson-like, where up and under.
Right.
I suppose I consider myself to be a little bit short, so I like to get in up close and personal.
Right. Okay.
I probably do my best work in close.
Yeah.
To be honest, just attacking the body and throwing those crazy overhands as well. I love throwing an overhand, and my left hook's I think is pretty solid.
All round fighter.
And that's why I come up with the nickname at Moorabbin of the Boogeyman.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. So what was the inception of that? Baba Yaga.
Michael Cusis, he came up with that name, or Michael and Nick. They come up with that name because I used to basically just stalk the guys in the ring and sparring in Moorabbin, and Baba Yaga from John Wick.
Yeah.
And obviously we found out the translation is boogeyman, and everyone knows the boogeyman. When you're a kid growing up, be careful, the boogeyman will come and get you.
Yeah.
So that's where the boogeyman, it stuck.
Fantastic.
And I like the name, and I try to live by it as well.
And I believe, don't you have it on
I got it on my mouth guard, yeah.
That's great.
I had it inscripted on my mouth guard.
We've got to get a little still of that at one point. We've got to get the mouth guard for it. That's fantastic.
I just ordered another one too, so it stands out a bit more. I think white on black or whatever. I've got it written in gold on my black mouth guard. But
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Intimidating,
but you got to, if you
got to embody it.
You talk the talk, you got to walk the walk.
That's right. Absolutely.
I probably didn't do that. I was probably too conservative in my last fight, the World Championship back in Germany. But it'll be a different story this time around.
Why do you think you were too conservative?
I think I just respected my opponent's right hand too much.
Right.
I didn't counter enough, and I didn't get in there up close and personal like I like to be.
And sorry, that was for what was the...
That was for the world title.
That was for the world title.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm jumping back and forth.
That's okay, that's fine. Take me through sort of the...
So I won the
lead up to
Australian title, and then obviously an opportunity I saw pop up for US Masters. US Masters was in February of 2024. And off the back of, you know, having a good win here in Australia, Australian title, I got a few sponsors behind me. I utilised a lot of my suppliers from work, and
Beautiful.
Got a great following and good assistance. We had some tops made up, the whole lot, and I took
decked out.
I ended up taking Nick Carra and Faisal Fayed come with me to Vegas as well in February last year, and I won my fight over there, which was a good solid 3 rounds. But my guy was pretty much like me. He tried to smother me, and
right. He tried to Baba Yaga you.
He tried to Baba Yaga me, but I was comfortable being on the end of Baba Yaga.
Yeah, that's it.
And just probably just a bit more of a technical fighter in that space, and I got the win. And so that was a great opportunity. So after US, what's next? I want the world.
Far out.
I saw a feed come up through Masters Boxing Victoria of world titles, which are held in Germany, in Reitberg, Germany. And I launched a campaign. I reached out to the promoter over there and said, I want the world title. Basically, he didn't come looking for me. I went looking for it. At first, he was very bad. You know, show me what you've done, where you've been, blah blah. So I gave him my fight record, and he was pretty happy with it. And saw a couple of my fights and thought, okay, yeah, perfect. I got a guy for you. So he matched me up with this German guy by the name of Nikita. One? Yeah, I think his name was Nikita. Yeah, Nikita. But that fell through, and I didn't know about it until like 4 weeks before the fight, when I was just making sure everything was all good. You know, I'm about to get on a flight to Germany with 2 other guys or 3 other guys, and we don't want to get there, and you know the shit hits the fan. So I was just cross-checking everything, and I found out that I was fighting a Romanian guy by the name of Dragos Dulhash.
Drago.
Yeah, strong Romanian guy. With a big right hand, and that's exactly what the promoter told me. He's got a strong right hand. So I thought, okay, if I keep my left hand up,
you'll be okay.
His right hand should be good. Yep. And that's exactly what I did. But I felt the first punch. I thought, yeah, okay, that is heavy. So I just, again, like I said, I think I respected it too much. And I wasn't as aggressive as what I should have been. And when I was doing what the corner was asking of me, things were working out.
Working out well.
You know, but I just didn't maintain that aggression and, counter his right hand enough or press him and gas him out like I usually do my opponents. I think I got a bit... I mean, I probably came good just the day before the fight.
Okay.
Because we got there a week before just to acclimatise with obviously jet lag and whatnot. And day by day I got sharper on the pads and everything started to fall into place. And pretty much the day before I felt good. Yeah. Like I felt amazing, to be honest. It was probably...
Tip-top shape.
Tip-top shape. Everything was great going to the fight, but again, just the fight plan was a bit off. Yeah.
And that happens.
That's the fight game.
Yeah, that's right.
I went the distance. It's not like I got knocked out or anything. I got knocked down in the 4th round. I think it was a rear uppercut. I was attacking him, but I attacked him too open. And he got me straight up the center with a rear uppercut or sort of a cross hook uppercut or whatever it was. My knee touched the canvas again, and I got a standing 8 count. And if you saw the video, I'm actually laughing.
It's on YouTube.
The ref is telling me, I walk away with laughing because I'm like, here we go again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
touch the canvas.
That must be very. I've always seen that with fighters, just watching, even in person and online. But when you've been knocked down and unfortunately your knee has touched the canvas, but you don't need that 8 count. Like you feel like I'm good to go. Like let's do this.
I put myself in my opponent's shoes at that point. What's he going to do now? Like, because I know if my opponent's touched the canvas, I'm switched on.
Yeah.
And I know he's coming out. He's going to want to finish the job.
Yeah.
So I basically said, okay, I'm going to finish the job instead of him.
Went on the attack.
So I actually won the rest of the round.
Oh, okay.
You know, the fourth round. But regardless, he knocked me. My knee touched the canvas that round, so it becomes
negligible.
Yeah. But again, I didn't allow him to have the upper on me for the rest of the round. And for the last 2 rounds, he's pretty much leaning on me because he was gassed out. He was smart. He cut off my length in the last 2 rounds because I had more energy. So every time I wanted to exchange, he stepped in on me, wanted to hug.
Smart, but yeah, it's the game.
He played out the game, and then he did well. So,
but the story's not over, right?
The story is far from over.
Tell us about that.
So, obviously, I was devastated,
of course,
not to get the win. My whole ambition for the fight was to bring the belt home and hang it on my dad's tombstone.
Yes,
just as a sign of respect towards his legacy and what he instilled in me as an individual. Sorry, we're talking about my dad. I get a little bit emotional.
No, that's okay.
So the opportunity, like even after the fight, Dragos more or less said, he said, "But you won." Like
he told you.
Pretty much. Like I recall it distinctly. Like hai vinto tu, because he could speak Italian.
Yeah.
So he said, "Oh, you won." You know, and I thought, yeah. But anyway, I'll wait see what the judges say. His hand got raised. I turned to the corner, and their faces were just like mine. Were all gutted.
Yeah.
I thought I won 4 out of the 6 rounds, but it didn't go that way. So I thought I'll let it go because I keep telling everyone this is my last fight. This is my last fight. This is my last fight.
It's a good way to sell tickets, by the way.
My wife thinks I'm like John Farnham. The comeback tour.
That's the best.
I've had about 6 comeback tours.
Oh, that's great.
But you know, I enjoy it, and I as much as I enjoy the win, I'm not out. Yes, I want to win the title, but I love the whole process.
Yeah.
Right. So I decided, okay, I got the loss. I'll switch off. I spent about 10 days away with my best mate at the time. We went to Spain and whatever, just did a bit of stuff to get my head out of the game. As soon as I got back to the gym, oh, you got ripped off. You got this, you got that, and then the thought process was that seed was already there in my head. I've got to have another shot.
Yes.
And Dragos, while I was over there, said, if you want a rematch, we can do it in Australia.
He told you that?
Yeah, he told me that.
That's nice.
Yeah. and I held on to that.
Yeah.
But I tucked it aside. But then when I got back and all this talk about, you know, you got ripped off or this or that, it is what it is. But I'm grateful that I get to have the opportunity again.
Yeah.
So I rang him up and I said, you know.
How did that conversation go down? Yeah.
It was very simple. You know, want to go again? Yeah, let's do it. Like, he just loves to fight. This guy, I think he's also a bare knuckle fighter. He'll take on. He'll take on fights every week. This guy, you know, he's a hard unit.
And I've heard, that you get along. You guys kind of we
do get along. Rapport, yeah. You know, people probably think, you know, we should want to try to kill each other, this and that. But we do get along.
That's
you know, we're like 2 school kids having a laugh. We're talking about punching on again, and we're giggling.
Yeah, right.
Like we're gonna
go
again, and this is gonna be fun.
And it's funny that you say that. Sorry, because it's just like people do have that attitude. Like they have to. You're gonna want to kill each other when you get in there. And it's like, well, actually, he's a good guy, and it's funny.
Boxing is fun until you get punched in the face.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know? So yeah, we're like 2 school kids laughing about, you know, what we're about to do again. And we're pumped. I just spoke to him again a couple of days ago. We're just trying to work out his accommodation and everything here and who he's bringing. He's got a Romanian media coming with him.
Great.
He's got this opera singer that is going to sing the Romanian national anthem before the fight.
Awesome.
And I think the bonus of it is that we get to have it as a main event on the Fight Fit Challenge.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Where I started is essentially
it's a beautiful full circle moment.
100%.
That's absolutely insane. It's like, as you said, you began this journey with them, and now not the end, but it's
not the end. I mean,
it's culmination.
I'd like it to be my last fight. I'm not going to lie.
Right.
I want I wanted Germany to be my last fight.
Yeah.
But I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, okay, it's going to be 1-1. Then he might turn around and say, "Well, let's finish the trilogy and go for a third."
Yeah.
Where are we going to do that? I don't know. But maybe we just have to get him back here for Fight Fit 30.
Oh shit.
Which will be.
And you're open to that?
I'm open to it, 100%.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Again, I'm one of those people that gets sucked in. You put me a challenge,
and we keep doing it to 83.
Yeah,
that's it.
But yeah, Fight Fit Challenge 29 is going to be massive.
The big one.
We hope to sell out the Melbourne Pavilion.
Easy.
100%.
Easy, for sure. So,
what
about what's your training like at the moment? How are you going with that?
At the moment, yeah. Look, on top of everything else, picked up a lot of new contracts with work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at work from 5 o'clock in the morning till say 2-3 in the afternoon. I race back from Campbellfield to Moorabbin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I live in Oakley South.
Mm.
So I get home, get changed, head to the gym. 5 o'clock class, 6 o'clock class.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not too tired, I'll jump into also the fighters class, which is on a Monday and Wednesday. We do a bit of pad work, paddle work, heavy pad work. But we've got a few other fighters that have been prepping for fight. And then Friday is pretty much my rest day, and Saturday we do sparring from 10:30 till midday, which is solid sparring.
Jeez.
And good.
You've got a full schedule.
It's crazy.
Absolutely full schedule.
Yeah. I'm fitter now than when I was 21.
For sure?
Yeah, 100%. At the age of 21, I was an overweight fat kid, 112 kilos, coming back from Italy looking like the side of a house.
Fantastic.
Now, I'm sparring with 21-year-olds that, I keep up with.
Yeah.
I have fun.
Yeah. You enjoy it. You're enjoying the process.
And we're all growing. Whether I'm 47 or I'm 21, we're all growing and we're all learning. And that's the beauty of it.
That's the most important thing.
Whether I'm standing in the ring or I'm on the production line at work.
Yeah, of course.
I'm forever learning.
I'll ask you sort of 3 open-ended questions. Mm-hmm. You answer them however you like. They're quite simple though. Number 1, what would you say now at this point in your life is your ultimate goal?
Boy, that's a hard question.
It's hard.
Put me on the spot. My ultimate goal, my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I've only got to mention their name. I get upset. They're my everything.
Mm-hmm.
3 girls and my wife. Obviously, they're at an age where they're growing up and they're exploring and doing all the things I did as a teenager. Obviously in reversal. I want them to live life, and I want to help them support to live their lives. I told them, go enjoy yourself. Don't get a boyfriend now. Go,
yeah, of course.
Live a little.
Yeah.
I'm taking them 3 weeks after the Fight Fit Challenge, where we're going to Europe, me and the 3 girls.
Oh, sensational.
Just going to spend some quality time with them, and then hopefully after that they'll start paying for their own trip.
Yeah, exactly.
But my twins just turned 18 in November. My oldest, Alyssa, she's turned 20 in January this year.
Mm-hmm.
She turns 21 next year. Blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
But the whole thing now I look forward to is once I've had a trip with the girls, I want to start getting little getaways with my wife.
Yeah.
But so my family's my ultimate goal. And just, what's your perception of happiness?
Yeah.
What's my perception of happiness? I don't know. But as long as I see my family happy,
it's number 1.
It makes me happy.
Yeah. Number 1. Beautiful. Well, actually, the second question is probably in relation to that, but I was going to ask in terms of your boxing, what's the main driving force now outside of, I guess, the sheer competitiveness, just being in the competition? What's driving you at the moment?
At the moment, it's just staying fit. And what's driving me in boxing is, again, I love going to the gym, not only because I'm preparing for a fight, but also because I love seeing the faces that are at the gym. And I love, calling out and asking people, see someone with a bandage on their elbow. How's your elbow? Or just little things. I love that atmosphere. I love being compassionate and empathetic because that's the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
Right? But with boxing, again, it keeps me fit. I'd love to. I've done a training course with Faisal Fayed. I did a training course. You know, I'm not going to be manufacturing all my life. I want to get out of that. I would like to possibly be one of these old people that, well, not old, but but you know, even get into doing PTs or you know, taking classes at the gym, because I think I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if it's in one class a week, but just to break up the monotony. I don't want to fight all the time because it takes a lot out of you.
Of course,
don't get me wrong.
Yeah, physically and mentally.
But if you can build people up and help them achieve, you know, those little small goals that they want to achieve, you know, the secret to living is giving, isn't it?
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Now, for the final question for the podcast, let's say you win the fight, you've done it. If you could paint a picture of what that success straight after the fight looks like for you, what would it be?
I've thought about that already. It's funny you say that. Like I picture myself in the Melbourne Pavilion holding up the belt in front of people that are nearest and dearest to me. Not only friends, work colleagues, family, sponsors, whatever. Everyone's going to be there. And I think that's the ultimate. And like I said, everything happens for a reason, and that's why I think that is the ultimate goal, being there in front of everyone that's important to me and fulfilling a dream that I set out, that I had a hurdle, but now I'm going for the finish line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the finish line for me is getting that belt back.
Yeah.
Simple.
Having the belt.
And as much as I love Drago, he's a great guy.
Yeah, of course. But you're here to win.
He's in the way.
Yeah, exactly right.
He's in the way.
Exactly right.
And I'll still hug him after the fight and show him the respect. But for those 6 2-minute rounds, we're going to war.
You're going to war. Yeah, that's it.
Can't wait.
That's it. Beautiful. On that note, thank you very much, Piero, for a great interview. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you definitely again very soon. Thank you for watching this episode of Combat and Conversation with Piero Baba Yaga, the Boogeyman Sgarioto. Please, if you would like to check out his fight on June 14th, the Fight Fit Challenge number 29, please do so. Check out the tickets online. It's on our Facebook, on our Instagram, on our website as well. You won't want to miss that fight against Drago, Dulhac Dragos. It should be a huge fight. We're very excited to see Mr. Piero get the win. And also, if you're keen on joining the Fight Fit Challenge and potentially getting involved, all the details are on our Fight Fit website as well. Get involved. As always, stay fit, stay healthy, and we're excited to see you at Fight Fit soon. Thank you very much.